What is up, guys? SideStrafe here again with another nostalgia night. This time a little bit different. We're going into some pen and paper, some classic advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and we're actually going to look at the starter set. And this was circa 1994, and this was their box set that they had to really just introduce new players to Dungeons and Dragons. And a friend of mine at the time had picked up this game. He said, "Chris, you got to check this thing out, man. It sounds awesome." We look at the box. He shows me the back of the box and just everything that's in it, and it just all these goodies that you get for it. And it was about $30 at the time, which in comparison, if you look at the 4th edition box set that you get today for $20, this destroys it. Even though this was $10 more at the time, this destroys it, lays waste to it completely, and you'll see why. We open up this box here, and you can see right away you get some actual 3-dimensional plastic miniatures. Now, they are just plastic, but in comparison to the 4th edition starter set, you only get paper tokens. They're just so cheap and easy to manufacture, and they're just so lame compared to these minis that if you wanted to, you could paint. Now, the reason they're obviously still attached is I've rebought this box set on eBay a while ago, mostly for nostalgic reasons because my friend actually owned the original set. But also, moving right along, we got some dice here, some classic D&D dice. Nothing special, just your standard color dice that are, of course, synonymous with role-playing games around the world. Next, we've got some cards here for the players mostly to use. This was the town that you started your adventure in. This was your quest hub, the area you bought gear, the inn, you know, and just everything that related to all the NPCs you ran into during your first quest adventures, which is typically levels 1 through 5, 1 through 6 or so, I believe. Also, you've got your character cards here with some pre-made characters which relate to the miniatures. And you can see they're all pre-named. They got a bunch of information on the back on how to level up and just information based on each class. So you have all the classes: fighters, clerics, wizards, thieves, and then you have like one multi-class character, I believe. There's Beldar the Brave. That's the character that I primarily played, and I love the artwork. The artwork is so classic. I remember being able to picture my character in these dungeons. You know, just because I had this artwork, I always knew what my guy looked like. It just helped visualize, and I always knew what my buddies looked like. There's Slinker the Thief, and I remember my friend playing Slinker. And of course, you got reading the character card here, which just kind of tells you what's what. And for a game that was called Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, they dropped the Advanced title because they thought it was intimidating to some. But this box set really got you into the game, and it was pretty easy. Next, we're actually looking at the Dungeon Master screen, and this is basically where the DM would hide himself and his roles and basically plot the demise of the player characters. You can see it's got some gorgeous artwork on the back so that the players would be basically looking at that the whole time. And then, of course, the DM has his own valuable information here. Just a nice, quick reference guide, basically, to get him into the game and help him out with things that he might have trouble memorizing. So it really helps out to have these DM screens. I believe that you could purchase various versions of these screens separately as well at the time, more advanced versions as well. Next, as we go back into the box, this is a real selling point right here. This CD at the time, obviously to get CDs in '94, you know, with your pen and paper is something new. And this basically had voice actors that carried out different roles, basically playing the roles of the characters within the game, and acted out certain sequences based on what you chose to do. The DM basically had a guide in his adventure book which told him what tracks to play based on the decisions the player made. So it was really cool to have this, you know, this ambient audio. It basically had music, it had sound effects, you know, Foley effects and things like that would go along with the adventure, and it really helped immerse you in the adventure, and it was just totally epic to have this alongside. It just really gets your mind in the zone. Next up here, just kind of a bonus, but they actually gave you like a really nice poster with some really fancy old school fantasy art from the Mystera campaign, I believe. And that character right there is pretty classic, I think. But you can see just some gorgeous poster art. Not bad, huh? Some bonus material. Next up, this part's really cool too. This is one of my favorite aspects, is obviously having real full-color maps to carry out your adventures within. It always helps to visualize. And I'm not one for, like, I like using my imagination, but I thought it more interesting to actually have a visual aspect that I could put my miniatures down and basically walk on this pre-gridded map And I just thought it really neat to just be able to see the rooms that I'm going into. And that was the first dungeon we actually played. And this is the Ghost of Harrow Hill adventure that we played second, which was kind of like an old school haunted house. And oh man, it was good times. Just so nostalgic just looking at this map again. It was a lot of fun playing this one. This one was a Spelljammer quest. I think that's correct. Correct me if I'm wrong. I really wasn't too into this one because that's part of a different campaign setting, I think. It kind of throws you into this weird fantasy outer space setting. But and then this was under Mount Dread, which I don't think we ever really got to play because my friend kind of gave up on the game because it ran out of the CD audio at a certain point. Basically, they got you to a certain level of the game in the box set, and they tried to wean you off using the audio CD, and then things got a little bit more difficult, so you could get used to how D&D kind of really is. Here we're looking at the rules book, and this is basically kind of like a slimmed down player's handbook. As you can see, it's pretty thin. It's got a list of equipment that you could buy from the shops. I remember me and my other friend that were playing, we're always like, all right, time to buy stuff because we got money. Let's go trade and buy. We'd look at the back and just, make a list of gear we wanted. As you can see, there's always some nice black and white artwork in there, and then some other valuable information just for generally for the players in DM. The Monsters and Treasures book, basically a slimmed down version of the monster manual, which basically has artwork for some items and the creatures within the game. You got some treasure types on the back and different roles. You can see the thickness of the guide there. And as we look through it, you can actually see some of the illustrations within. Again, this really helps you visualize a character. You're like, okay, what does this look like? Oh, I've never heard of this creature before. What is that? You can look in here, turn to the page, find out, what kind of damage it does, what kind of armor it has, what it looks like, and then automatically you could always picture it. Same thing for some weapons here. So if you ever came along some weapons or items in your travels, you have some nice, again, just nice quality illustration. Then we hit the adventure book, and this is kind of like the DM guide, except it's more so, again, it's what it says, it's the adventure book. The Dungeon Master's guide here for all the adventures within the box set. Within, you would find maps and room schematics for each of the areas, some more artwork, and basically the story and plot line. As you can also see on the sides here, as I'm pointing out, this shows you the tracks that the Dungeon Master should play based on certain events. So it tells him when to queue up the CD. So you can see there it shows you the main map and any secret rooms within. So that's basically the DM's guide, not for the players. Here at the back of the box, we're not quite done yet, but we just got some standard issue fare. The customer response card never filled out. Don't know if anybody does, and just some things to order, some magazines for Dungeons & Dragons. Back here we got the Cleric Spellbook and the Wizard Spellbook, which are really, really thin books that basically have all the spells for the characters, and kind of just a complete guide for them to be able to easily access their abilities. And other than that, that's been pretty much it for this box set. Again, this box set was the 1994 Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, basically second edition, first quest box set, retailed for $30 back in the day. It was definitely some good times, a whole lot of memories, and it beats the pants off of today's 4th edition box set. You really got your money's worth, and it's kind of sad to see where things have gone today with 4th edition. And this, by far, is probably one of the best box sets I've seen for pen and paper. Anyway, guys, that's been it for this old school unboxing of the First Quest starter set for the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, circa 1994. Join me in episode 2, where we actually take a little bit more detailed look at the box set and the individual adventures and characters, and really see what made 2nd edition possibly the best edition. And guys, thank you again. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you around.